Will Dickson.
How are you?
Welcome to the pod. I'm good. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, let's talk about golf today.
Let's do it.
We are shooting this podcast after we just got off the golf course. We finished third in a two-man.
Unfortunately.
So we're going to hopefully use this to lick our wounds or heal our wounds.
Well, we have a freshly made old fashioned here, so that should help.
Yeah, it cannot hurt. We probably blew that tournament today.
Yeah. Had a chance though.
Yeah,
I feel like we played better than our score.
we played good.
We had to answer some questions in the clubhouse about how we shot 11
I know.
and not 13 or 14,
They were
but
shocked.
yeah. No, it was a ton of fun. That course was fun to play. The greens were awesome. So, yeah, it was a good time out there.
I think we'll be invited back because we didn't win.
Yeah.
So they want us to
Oh, we're
come.
just playing our cards right.
Yeah, so they'll be able to beat up on us again. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So, originally from Providence, Rhode Island. Uh, Obviously, smallest state in the country and some place where not many people have been, I feel like. Um, but I played college golf at Georgia Tech. Was down in Atlanta for almost 7 years. Um, Had some really good experiences in college, some not so good ones, but ultimately that led me to turning pro after I graduated. Graduated in 21, played amateur golf that summer, and then turned pro at the start of 22.
Nice.
And now we're here.
Welcome. Glad to have you in Tennessee.
Yeah.
We met several months ago, and I kind of fanboyed you a little bit because you played at Georgia Tech, one of the top 5 college golf programs of all time.
Yeah, arguably, yeah.
Georgia
I'd say
Tech,
so.
Georgia, Stanford, Texas, Florida. I mean,
Arizona
it's
State. Yeah, I
Oklahoma,
mean,
Oklahoma State, but it's
there's
top
a
10 for sure.
yeah, there's a handful.
And you were very open about your time in college, and I have learned a lot from you, and I think the listeners will be able to also learn a lot from you. So tell me about your time at Georgia Tech, being a top country or a top college in the country golf program,
Yep.
legendary coach.
Yep.
Obviously, you're from Rhode Island, went to Georgia Tech. So how did that happen? And then how did such a famous disciplinary program shape you to the person you are today?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a lot to unpack there, but I I committed when I was really young. So I missed my first 3 days of my sophomore year in high school. I was down in Atlanta on like a 3-day visit with the Georgia Tech team. I ended up committing in the team room, Coach Hepler's office, on the last day I was there. He pulled out a piece of paper that showed the dollar amount of how much money all of the alumni have won on the PGA Tour, and that was quite a lot.
It's great recruiting.
The list of names on that piece of paper was pretty impressive, and yeah, it kind of checked all the boxes for me at the time. And we had a bunch of really good guys coming in the year before me, and it turned out my class was pretty good as well. But yeah, I got to Tech in the fall of 2017. I was pretty highly recruited. I had some really high expectations. I thought that everything was going to be pretty easy, I guess, for lack of better
Yeah.
terms. And that could not have been farther from the truth. So it was a long journey, those 4 years, but that's how I got there.
Was it a culture shock going to Georgia Tech and immediately, obviously you're in charge of your own schedule.
Yep.
You're an 18-year-old young man, and then you have the discipline of had to be clean shaving.
Yeah.
Cannot be late to practice. Cannot your workouts when you show up at 6 o'clock for workouts, it cannot look like you've gotten out of bed. You have
Mm-hmm.
to be showered, dressed for success. Cannot wear red on campus. It's
Correct.
a Georgia color.
Yeah.
How did that pressure and that discipline? Did you embrace that in the beginning? Did it kind of scare you away a little bit? Because I feel like that would be a lot to handle as an 18-year-old when you're the best golfer you know.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to Georgia Tech. You're surrounded by all these upperclassmen
Yeah.
who are probably better than you because they've had more experience
Yeah.
and they're more settled in. And then all of a sudden, you have this full-on program.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I quite realized the magnitude of like Georgia Tech golf in general when I got there. And I didn't realize the amount of little things that we had to do on a day-to-day basis, which is what made Georgia Tech golf one of the best programs in the country. And like you said, it started, first thing in the morning with our workouts. We had a very, very structured workout schedule. Our strength and conditioning coaches were amazing. But yeah, I mean, it took me multiple times being late for workouts, doing punishment workouts, for being, whether it's late to workouts, late to class, not being clean shaven. All those little things were stuff that created the culture of the program. And it took a couple years for me at least to kind of figure all that out. And while you're going through that process, it's like you don't really know if you're like kind of asking yourself, why am I doing these things?
Mm-hmm.
And coach, would always tell us these little things that we had to do. But we didn't really know maybe why some of those things were so important at the time. But after 3 or 4 years of being in that environment and seeing the success of the guys who have graduated before you, what kind of players they've become, what kind of, gentlemen they've become on and off the course, you just sort of almost automatically buy in. And I think that's when, your golf becomes really, really at an elite level. Your off the course, like relationships and social life become a lot better. So I think just the time management of all these little things that made our program so great was, what ultimately I kind of figured out and led me, to the position I am now.
I could really tell when I'm around the Georgia Tech golf team at a couple events in the past, the coaching staff and the former players, they are still incredibly disciplined, very well mannered,
Yeah.
good posture,
Yeah.
look you in the eye, good handshakes, yes sir, no sir. They really carry that yellow jacket badge.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like the rest of their life.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's how we carry ourselves and how we treat others, how you hold yourself on a daily basis. Like, I think that's really important. Our coach was our example of that. He was on time for everything. He was cleanly shaven. We had to wear pants as a program to 95% of our tournaments. I just think over time, and look, you're going to make mistakes. Like, you're a 18, 19-year-old kid, but over time, you realize that those are the things that, that's part of the way you should go about it. And it's just a decision. Like, he always said, like, there's somebody else that would love to be in your shoes. And it's just a decision that you have to make when you wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
Are you going to have that commitment to excellence? Like, are you going to be the best version of yourself that day? Are you going to be the best you can be? And I think, Coach Hepler always looked up to, his big Nick Saban fan. And so he would kind of show us Nick Saban videos or speeches about what he would say. And it's just that creating that environment and that attitude of, every single little thing that I do today, I'm going to try to do the best I possibly can, whether it's making your bed, whether it's, that one rep of back squat or, sitting in the front row of class, which I didn't always do, but just those, like I said, the little things that make up your day-to-day life ultimately lead you to success.
I like that. That's great advice. And he did it by leading by example, which is great.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you all did not have structured practices.
Yes. Yeah. I don't think we had one actual structured practice. There might have been days where we were told like, oh, it's a mandatory, like go to the Noonan practice facility day. But, yeah, there were certainly things that were different about Georgia Tech that every other program didn't really do. We had to pick up our own range balls. So yeah, the no practice thing, was kind of explained by, well, look, like I have my own swing coach. Andy Ogletree has his own swing coach. Luke Schneiderjans has his own coach, and Andy might be one of the best drivers of the golf ball I've ever seen, and Luke might need, or somebody else might need practice driving the ball. So why should I have, Andy work on driving when he could be doing some pitching and putting or whatever else he has to work on? So, that was another responsibility that he put on his players of like knowing what you need to do to get better each day, and working on those things that you may not want to do, but he wasn't going to tell you to do that. That was like, that was up to you as a person and as a player to be, that organized and that committed to figuring out what you had to do that day to get better.
I like that. That's a high bar, those expectations. But
yeah,
you're at Georgia Tech. You want to be a professional golfer.
Yeah.
Like you're going to do those things if you want to be a PGA Tour player.
Yeah. And you have schoolwork to do, which also takes time.
And that cannot be easy.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate enough where you have hung out in the teaching center with me a couple times, and especially with some junior golfers that have come in there.
Yeah.
And you have been very helpful to those people. So I appreciate that. And some of them have even befriended you. You've had a very long junior golf career, obviously. And I think you're passionate about junior golf. I can tell the way that we've talked about it. But go ahead and tell me about your junior golf upbringing and a little interesting thing that your dad did or did not do during your tournaments.
Yeah. Yeah, junior golf was awesome for me. I started playing on the local tour in the Northeast called the U.S. Challenge Cup Tour. It's run by a guy named Dave Adamonis. His brother Brad Adamonis played on tour for many years, and Dave put on these great events throughout Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and after playing out there from the time I was 8 years old through 15, 16, you kind of get to see like who the better players are in the Northeast. And it was so cool because there was only maybe 6 or 8 of us who we knew that we were the better players. And so I just think junior golf is so fun, and then you can learn so many things, life lessons, golf lessons. But I feel passionate about kids learning the game the right way and learning, playing golf as a way to, you're playing golf as the sport, but you're also playing golf to learn how to talk to people, act the right way, do things you're supposed to do, that sort of thing. And, I think one big part of junior golf now, and it was when I was when I was playing it, but even more so now is parents, and how much the parents are involved with the kids' practice, or even when the kids are playing in tournament rounds. And I think when parents are really involved on the course, when the kids are playing and watching them in tournaments, the kids are always looking around to see how the parents react.
Always.
And they're almost like playing for their parents more than they are for themselves. And just like, at that age, just getting better at the game and playing the game. And, my dad and my parents, they sacrificed everything for me to be able to do what I'm still doing and what I love to do. And they care nothing more. Like they want me to play the best golf. They want me to be the best person possible. But for those like 4 hours on a golf course when I'm playing in a tournament during junior golf, they never watched. And that's something that I think was very rare. I don't remember any other parent not watching their kid while they were playing a junior event. But what that did for me was that allowed me to play the game that I wanted to play. I had to make the decision to hit driver on a tight par 4 over water, or if I wanted to hit a flop shot, I could hit a flop shot, even if it wasn't really the right play, because I wasn't concerned about what my dad was going to think, looking at him from across the green, and he's getting all upset. And so, that allowed me some freedom. And I certainly failed sometimes. I might have acted some ways sometimes where other parents would tell my dad, "Oh, Will threw a club," or maybe said something he wasn't supposed to say. But he gave me that freedom to, I guess, in a way, fail on my own. And I think that helped. I think that's just a big factor.
It's a tough one, right? It's because I'm around a lot of junior golf, and you have parents that obviously these juniors wouldn't be there without the parents and the resources.
Yeah.
And junior golf is expensive. The clubs are expensive, the traveling, the tournaments. If you're going to get to a certain level, you're probably going to have coaches, right? So they provide all the resources. You do have a lot of parents on the golf course, though, that wear their heart on their sleeve. Their body language is very known. And you will see him or her hit a bad shot, and they look over to the parents, and they're just heads down, hands are up in the air.
Slamming the umbrella.
I can't believe he just missed that green from 130. He just dumped it in the bunker. He plugged. Now he's going to make 5 at best, probably 6. And they just they disappear. And then as a junior golfer, you are looking for them now.
Yeah.
Because you're used to them being there. The parents had to take a breather, right? And they don't leave when you're playing good, when you're 3 under through 5.
Right.
They leave when you shot 40 on the front side.
And the kid knows that too.
Exactly. But but then you do have parents there that know nothing about golf, and they're there for the vibe. They're there for the camaraderie. They want to learn. They're there for the memory. They're sharing in this. They're talking about different stuff on the ride home. They're not going through the round, all 18 holes.
Yeah.
Where did I miss shots here and here? So I don't know the answer, right? But I'm always very, very, very obsessed, for lack of a better word, and obviously everyone's going to be a little different, but there probably is a way that's better for a lot of people.
You know what word I highly disregard in what parents say all the time in regards to junior golf is "we."
Yeah.
So like if I'm talking to a parent of a junior golfer and they're talking about their kid playing in a tournament, they're like, "Well, Harry, we did this today. We didn't get up and down from 50 yards.
We 3-putt at 15 from 8 feet.
Yeah, we hit it out of bounds on our 17th hole of the day." And you hear tour players talk in their press conferences all the time, and they use the word "we." But I think they use it. It's in a different way. They're talking about like, their team of like their coach and their trainer and their support system. But I think when parents use the word "we," it's like, like you said, they're wearing their kids' score and their performance on their sleeve as well. And my dad and I used to joke that they should put the kid's name and the parent's name on the leaderboards.
Yeah,
because
that's funny.
Like, that's how involved some of these parents are. And it's like, well, no, it's not "we." You didn't hit the shot. It's your kid hit the shot. So and so hit it out of bounds, and I think it's like, so that word always kind of triggered me when I hear parents talk about their kids. It's not "we." It's the kid.
That's a good point. Is there anything that you're noticing in the game in junior golf now that is trending in the wrong direction, other than kind of the helicopter parenting from the cart pass? Do you see kids get caught up in? I talked about this with Michael on episode 1 that you and I are both friends with. Getting caught up in too much of the technique, not learning how to play the game, not playing golf enough, getting too caught up in everything has to be perfect.
Yeah.
They don't know the PGA Tour averages or the LPGA Tour averages, and they're far from that level. But hitting an 8-iron to 35 feet from 150 and getting upset because it didn't start on the flag.
Yeah.
Why do you think that's happening?
Well, they probably watched Scotty Scheffler today break the PGA Tour record and shoot
31,
31 or 32
Yeah,
under
he's
par.
pretty good.
Yeah, he's not bad.
Yeah,
and so they see him.
He knows where it's going.
Yeah. You watch the telecast of the PGA Tour, and every shot seems like it goes at the flag. So I think there's some expectation work that can be done there. I mean, I don't know what Scotty was this week, but historically, the winner's average on the PGA Tour every week in proximity to the hole is 30 feet. That's the winner every week on the PGA Tour. They hit it on average 30 feet to the hole from the hole, and that just blows my mind. I would think it'd be like 15 feet or 18 feet or. I mean, and that's a third shot into a par 5. That's a wedge from 80 yards. That's also, a 4-iron from 230. So I think that can be a reality check for sure.
When did you embrace like TrackMan, video analysis, pressure plates, all the technology that's available to you as a professional that now these juniors have access to? When did you really go down that rabbit hole?
Well, I didn't have a cell phone until I was 16. So I didn't know what my swing looked like until I was probably a sophomore or a junior in high school.
It's probably perfect.
I'm trying to get back there.
That's probably pretty good. Look like Brad Faxon.
Yeah, a little bit of Fax, a little bit of Tiger and two.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
No big deal.
No, I guess when I got to school, when I got to college, it's so funny. I used to know so much about like the different shafts and the newest driver shafts, and I feel like I used to know so much more about technology than I do now, and I don't really know why that is.
You're too busy practicing.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it was probably just because we would hang around, the guys on the team all day, and we would just all golf all day. But I didn't really do. I think the most TrackMan work we did was during some practices I say we never had structured practices. We were kind of told at some points that you might want to do a drill that like the best wedge player in the world does, so that was one of the TrackMan drills we did, like wedge combine. So we use the TrackMan more for that performance type rather than like an apex of 130 on your driver or 3.5 into out versus 2. We kind of used it for dialing in distances. We would take it on the road with us, when we played at altitude or different places, just for distance stuff. I think the technology is great, but I think there's endless opportunities to use it for dialing in your yardages. Just get the other tiles. You go to the tile selector and clear all the other stuff out, and let's just do like swing speed and carry distance.
That's good. You shared with me maybe your junior, senior year. You're at Georgia Tech, very stressful situation. You decided to live with a baseball and football player.
Yeah.
And you said that was the greatest decision in college you made.
Yeah.
Because it was a relief and an outlet to do other things.
Well, yeah. I mean, I didn't have to come back and explain why I only spent 3 hours on the range instead of 4. Or, I didn't have to come back to my room and worry about what some kid on my team is going to think if I, had spaghetti and meatballs for dinner instead of chicken and rice. Like it just, they were other athletes at Georgia Tech, like you said, baseball and football. So they had a similar mindset. Their schedule was somewhat the same, but just completely different atmosphere. I mean, just normal dudes, had no idea about golf, So again, it was living with people that are like fans of you and supporting you rather than always being like in a competitive environment. And I think competition's great. I think being in a competitive environment is awesome. But we had so much of that from the time we woke up at 5:30 to go to workouts to, through school and practice and whatnot. You come back and it's just like, I want to watch the baseball game with somebody else and hear about what the football team's doing.
When you're fully submerged in that life and you don't pay attention, you've been underwater for years. It's good to come up to the surface and do other things.
Yeah.
Go to the baseball game, go play pickleball.
Yeah.
Talk about other things. Talk about their pressure, what they're feeling.
Yeah.
So that way golf is crazy. College golf is crazy. It's a team sport, but it's also like incredibly
it's so individual.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
and we would have different, like we had some conversations, with my roommates my senior year that I never would have had the same conversations with guys on the golf team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we talked about we like really like got to know each other more on like a deeper level. Like we talked about our families, we talked about our faith, we talked about just random stuff that like I feel like maybe sometimes you're scared to or you're hesitant to share with like some of the guys that you're kind of competing with on a day in and day out basis, and they're kind of always like looking at you and judging you in a way.
Always. It's your closest competition.
Yeah. So
but it's your teammate.
Right. Yeah. So there's a very interesting dialogue there. So yeah, I really enjoyed living with just some other, like I said, other athletes at Tech, but just normal people, that were not involved with the program.
I like that. We had this kind of aha moment, this epiphany, probably about 100 days ago on the back of the range. We were talking about your swing, what you should do or what you can do under pressure. Talking about making some swing changes. Let's elaborate on that. Do you think when you have a month full of tournaments and you're ball striking and you look at your stats and you think I need to get better here, and here, and it's hard not to pull up other players, right? It's hard not to pull up players that you're playing against or top 50 on the PGA Tour, see what they do, what your different coaches are telling you to do, if we're chasing numbers, right? Attack, angle, club path, low point, all that stuff, all that jazz. But at what point does it come down to I should do this, but how long will it take until I can do this under pressure? Like this, like if you need to shallow out because you're too steep, but then you have to birdie the last 2 holes to win a golf tournament, you're probably going to smash those things down and left and cut them, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I honestly, I don't exactly remember what I told you 100 days ago.
Well, perfect, because we can talk about it again.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
I think I know what my answer is now.
Perfect.
And that would be, I'm going to make sure I do whatever it takes to get the golf ball in the hole the fastest way I possibly can. And that might have been a different answer 100 days ago. I feel like I've tried the last year and a half, 2 years to recognize what I'm not very good at and maybe make some changes that maybe I think is the way you should do things, the way that maybe some tour players do them. And I think I did put in a lot of work as far as some of those things go. But I think I realize now that you can separate the work you do on the range versus going and playing golf. I realized that playing golf swing in a tournament, for example, is probably the worst idea out there. I think you can separate, like I said, what you're working on the range versus on the golf course. If we have to birdie, well, we did have to birdie the last 2 holes today, but
which we did not.
Yeah, I just think that it's huge for you to shoot lower score. Like shooting lower scores is not always about how many perfect shots you hit. It's about not making big mistakes, not making big numbers.
Correct.
And I think that it doesn't have to look pretty. You don't get style points. It's not figure skating. Um, let's just go with whatever you got that day and shoot the lowest score we possibly can. And then we can go after the round or the next morning. We can go out there and get back to making little changes or trying to get better in little ways. But I think when you tee the ball up on the first hole, you got to go with what's really comfortable for you, what you see when you stand on the tee, and just go out there and trust it and have fun.
I agree. And it may change Thursday to Friday to Saturday to Sunday.
Yeah.
Your feels may change, your ball flight may change.
Yeah. I mean, the last week and a half, all I've seen is like high pull fades with my irons. And I don't think I hit a single fade today. I was, for some reason, when I stood over it, I saw a little draw. So I wasn't going to fight that. And, but tomorrow morning or this week, I'm going to go back to some of the feels that I had, but I've been working on and, just try and get better.
I think a lot of tour players, they get a little lost in their DNA, right? Like you make it to the Corn Ferry Tour, you make it to the PGA Tour, you play a great tournament. Like there are a lot of guys that played this week and played good golf, and Scotty beat him by like probably 15.
Yeah.
So are they going to go change their DNA because they think they need to get 15 shots better? They need to do something more like Scotty? Or are they just going to stay the course, grind it out, get better at the things that they are weak at, but not necessarily change something to chase someone in front of you?
Yeah. I mean, they're going to obviously look at their stats and see, okay, in what ways can I get better? But I think they're not going to change who they are to try to achieve something else.
Correct.
And Scotty's extremely, extremely good. We can't do the things that he can do. Now you might be able to do something. There might be some areas where you are an elite tour player. But I don't think you can ever lose that DNA of what makes you great. You always have to keep working on that. I think you can kind of make your weaknesses just a little bit better every so often, and then that can make a big difference in the end. So like if I hit a cut with my driver and sometimes I'll hit a bigger like 25, 30 yard cut, but at least I know it's going to cut and I know it might miss in the right rough. So I think, and there was a while where I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't work very well. Let's hit it straight or let's hit a draw. Well, that just completely switched everything in my swing. And I had no idea where the ball was going to go. So I went back to hitting that cut.
I think I was there for that.
Yeah.
I think I saw that.
I think so.
Yeah.
Been around for
that was
for
tough.
a lot.
That was tough.
Yeah. But now, I work on hitting that like a 10 or 15 yard cut instead of a 30 yard cut. And that 30 yard cut happens once in a while, but I also know I'm never going to miss it in the left houses.
Correct. Because when you wanted to stop cutting it so much, you need width, right? And then the club path shifts immediately out to the right. So now your cuts are starting right.
Yeah.
And then obviously you start hitting both ways and it's just
contact off. I mean, at 20 miles an hour, you hit it a little off the heel or a little off the toe, or you don't really know what's going on down there and you don't have much confidence. I mean, the ball's going to go
anywhere.
It's going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
And I think that's the case for a lot of, like, Rory was that way for a long time. I mean, he hit a draw when he first got on tour, when he was winning. I mean, when he won some of those majors, that's all he hit was a draw, I think.
Yeah, I think we talked, he was 6 to 8
I think,
out
6 to 8 up and 6 to 8 out. And I think that somehow levels out to be somewhat of a straight shot. But like with irons, for sure, it was like a slinging draw. And I think he was like, well, if I want to win more majors, I have to be able to work the ball left to right, like into the pins that are on the right hand side. And it might have been Rotella, it might have been, his caddy or somebody was like, dude, like most of the time there's going to be 6 pins on the left, 6 pins in the center, and 6 pins on the right. If you know you're going to draw the ball to the right pins, we can just aim at the pin or a little bit right of the pin and hit your same draw, and it's going to work out pretty good. But you're going to have 12 other opportunities to attack the flag. And I think, let's just do that. I don't think we need to change. Yeah, we don't need to change much there.
Correct.
I
think especially juniors and college players, they tend to want to change stuff too quickly.
Yeah.
I think they get to college and they have one bad event, 2 bad events. Probably maybe because of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was just tempo, golf course didn't suit their eye, and then they need to add 25 yards to the driver. They need to start drawing it because their cut's a little spinny. And all of a sudden we have guys that are sitting in our locker room with us together, and they all they fear is driver off the tee box.
Yeah.
But if they would do what you've done, well, I'm just going to cut it 35, 40 yards.
Start there.
And then I'm eventually going to cut it 25 and then 15 and then 10. And I'm going to hit 80% of my fairways, hopefully. And then I'm going to lean on the other stuff from there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, I mean, college, you also, not only do you have the expectations of yourself and your parents, but now you have coaches and now you have other teammates too. And when stuff isn't really, maybe not be going the right way, like you have all these eyeballs on you, and your teammates might be telling you to do something. Or like this player just won the USAM and he hits a draw. Should I hit a draw now?
Exactly. Yeah.
Or, like
he hits it low. Should I hit it lower?
Yeah.
I hit it too high.
This kid is like the best putter I've ever seen, and he uses the claw. Should I use the claw now? If you have putting issues, I mean, there's that road is endless. And as a kid, I feel like you're willing to try any of that. Like you want to play better golf. You want to be in the starting 5. You want to please your coach. You want to please your parents. You want to please your teammates, and all that stuff most of the time goes against what you've done all your life and what you naturally do. But it's extremely hard for kids to have that self-discipline, and you're trying to learn. But I think after going through some of the some high periods and some low periods, I think sticking to keeping your circle small and sticking to what and doing things how you know how to do them is probably a good idea.
It's very valuable.
Yeah.
Very valuable. Was there ever animosity between did you guys have 10, 9? How many guys on the team?
We had 12 for a while. It was when I was there, it was at least 9 or 10.
Was there ever animosity, the travel versus the non-travel? That ever come to a head, or the coach was pretty good at keeping it? Yeah. That's tough.
You're at a big time program with a lot of guys, and we all probably have dreams of playing the PGA Tour. I mean, and you're the 6 or 7 guy, or maybe you might have shooting some better scores in qualifying than the number 1 and 2 guys, and you don't get picked. I mean, you're not going to be very happy. And that's one of the things that I would mention to a parent or somebody who's a kid who's trying to play college golf is in their recruiting process, or like what schools they want to go to, is if I were to almost do it over again, I feel like I would make sure that I'm going to play a lot at that program. And I mean, I had every opportunity to play at Tech. I'm not saying that was a negative against Georgia Tech. I'm just saying I think there's this extremely high value to be able to play almost every tournament from your freshman through senior year.
It's the only way to get better.
It's the only way to get better.
I would add one more thing to that. Go where you can play, and go where when you graduate that you will be proud to hang that diploma on the wall.
Yeah. Yeah. And that doesn't have to be the biggest name or the best golf school.
Correct.
Like there are other things to golf. But if you represent that school for 4 or 5 years and you're playing almost every tournament, you're going to be a pretty proud fan of where you went to school. I think that traveling to every event, and that, like, Coach Hepler told me after 2.5 years, he said, well, you're not really a college golfer. I hadn't traveled to one college golf tournament yet. I'd never been on that van. I didn't deserve to be on that van for the first couple of years, but he's right. And it's hard for kids to see that, you don't play for 3 years. Are you really playing college golf? And you've missed, if you think, I did the math because I was interested. You have like 6 events in the fall, and you have like 7 or 8 events in the spring. That's 14 events. Then you have like summer's like 9 weeks. And you play like 6, 7 amateur tournaments. So that's 23, 24 tournaments a year. If you don't play for 3 years, that's 70 events that you've now not. That tournament experience is huge. So I feel like, I'm 4 years removed from college golf, and I feel like I'm still catching up on tournament experience.
For sure.
Because I missed, my junior year was COVID, unfortunately. Well, fortunately for me, but I missed 3 years of tournament golf.
Is that why you play in so many events now? Because you'll play in anything.
I try to. Yeah.
You'll tee it up anywhere, anytime.
Yeah. I have like another week here in Nashville, and then second half of May, June, July, it's every week.
Yeah. I want to touch on one thing that we bonded over other than sauna and cold plunge therapy. I think that it is very valuable, and you almost have to, as a swing instructor or a college golf coach, you have to continue to play in as many tournaments as you can to put yourself into your student's shoes.
Yeah.
Because if you're not comfortable doing something that you're teaching other people to do, it seems like it's kind of a waste of everyone's time. You know what I mean?
When I think the student can feel that.
Correct.
From the coach.
Yeah.
Right. So, you could tell, you could tell me to like switch to lefty, and I would try it. I believe you, because I know you've been there and done it. You've played at the highest level. So I think that is important. I think, it goes along the lines of what we were just saying about tournament experience. Like, it's that experience is not teachable. You have to go and do
different.
It's different.
Club feels different.
Yeah.
Like, on the range today, I hit 15 just pinch tumbling fades in a row. And then we get up on the first hole and hit a draw. And then that's all right. I'm playing a draw today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
you only get a couple swings to let things not fading or not drawing. And you're like, that's what I'm playing today.
Yeah.
I'm playing it where I can find it, where I can hit greens, where I can hit the center of the face, and we'll figure out the rest as we go.
Well, and I think too, if you're a coach, those things, you're going to coach your players and teach your players to swing in a way where they can then diagnose. They know what's wrong when things don't go well on a golf course. So if I hit 2 or 3, if I pull 2 or 3 iron shots, if I overdraw them, I have a couple things that I go back to, in order to not do that, because I've been taught in a way where I can kind of fix my own mistakes.
And I think that is what a lot of people are missing. When it gets off the rails, they don't know how to get it back on the rails. When they're playing good, they don't know what they're doing when they're playing good.
Right.
They know what they're doing when they're playing bad. Oh, I'm rolling it under, I'm coming into my posture, but they don't know, what did I do to just shoot 31 on the front?
Yeah.
Are you willing to, how many different feels will you go through in a tournament round? Are you willing to try different things if you're, if it's pulling it, not cutting it?
Yeah.
Because you will change your grip.
Yeah.
You do weaken your grip.
I do. I have a couple different grips. When I'm playing a tournament round, I feel like I only try 2 or 3 different things. But sometimes when I'm on the range for an hour beforehand, one swing thought, hit 2 shots. Nope, that goes out the window. Another one, I might try 15, 20 different things just to find something for that day, because I know how important just a feeling is for that day is. If I go out there and I don't have anything, it's going to be, we're going to grind out there. But
are you confident in this is what maybe this is maybe I'm lying to myself, but I always am confident that I'm going to find it.
Yeah.
It may not be on the second hole or the fourth hole, but I'm going to find my rhythm. I'm going to find that feel. And when I have it, that's when I'm going to take advantage of it. And if I don't have it, I had to have something that gets me around the golf course and keeps the ball on the planet.
I feel like what gives me confidence is my short game and putting and wedge game. So I'm confident that I'll be able to at least score. And now if I go out there like I did in some tournaments this year and just try to play golf swing and try to do the stuff that I've been working on, that's one thing. But if I'm in the mindset of I'm gonna shoot the lowest possible score today and I don't feel very good about things, I still believe that I can get around and shoot a good score by just working the ball different ways, getting up and down, pitching and putting. I may not find it. Like I may not find it during the round, and I'll go work on that after. I'll come back to you and go in the back of the range and grind it out and find it then.
Or just watch Tiger highlights.
Yeah, YouTube's good at that. Yeah.
Get pumped up.
I'm gonna watch Scotty's later. But yeah, I love working the ball. I love working the left to right. I love seeing the ball curve. And I feel like that's one thing that's kind of lost in today's game, with how the technology is with the ball and the clubs. But I will say, like, you watch these guys play. I mean, Scotty works the ball. I mean, that ball is curving. I mean, Rory curves it. And I'm a huge Tiger fan, and Tiger curves it.
You're really, you have very elite. You will go up and down the trajectory ladder.
Yeah,
like without any scare in the world.
I think it's, I just like I'm so visual, and I just see these things and I feel them. And I think when somebody in the past, like when I've had caddies or when people are trying to get me to hit the ball maybe straighter, or do something that I don't feel necessarily comfortable with, I'll just hit it terrible. They don't see like the curves that I do, and sometimes it bites me in the foot, but I think it brings joy to the game. I think it keeps it fun.
It's really hard to hit it straight.
Well, let's see, the ball's a circle, the club face is curved, you're swinging in a circle. I mean,
it's really hard to hit it straight. It's pretty hard to
hit it straight.
Yeah. Most of the times when you see those tracers that don't move, it's, they're cutting it into the wind, drawing it,
or with driver. I mean, I can see not really working the ball with driver that much, but
if you can get a good driver and you have the right golf ball, that's a little easier. But yeah, the irons have to curve, I think, even if it's just falling into its apex a couple feet.
Or even like my favorite thing is like little like different spins with short game. I think that's a key. I mean, we talk about short game a lot. I mean, I know you love short game, and I love short game. Yeah, Jude's the wizard, if anyone doesn't know that.
Not at Riverbend today. I boned a chip.
Yeah. But
I was trying to make it though. It's okay.
We had to.
I was being aggressive.
I think like we
did hit some good chips today, me and you though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think the different spins and trajectories with chipping is how you get a really good short game. With how firm and fast and undulated, the courses at a high level are, like you can't just like hit a standard chip. It's like
you have to cut it, you have to draw it, you have to be able to spin it, you have to be able to release it.
Low,
high, low, bump it.
And it's all dependent on the lie.
Correct.
So you got to diagnose the lie. You need to know what that's going to do. Like then that reduces a certain amount of shots that you have. And then it's like, okay, how much green do I have to work with? That will eliminate some shots as well. So you have to have, you have to have, a Rolodex 15, 20 shots, because you're going to have to select one.
And then you eliminate it based on the lie. Yeah.
Yeah. You go through these stages of kind of check boxes, starting with the lie, then, variants of things. But if you only have like 2 or 3 shots, I mean, I'll see kids, or even guys, at the lower, mini tour level or playing Monday qualifiers and whatnot, and they have a short game shot, and I'm watching, and I'm like, there's no chance this ball even comes close. And I'm just looking at how they're set up because I know that I can see it from a different angle. I'm watching. It's like with the amount of green you have to work with the lie that this kid has, and with how maybe not open his face is, he has no chance. And I just think it's because I'm sure they practice short game, but like the imagination, the visualization.
And a lot of time they practice short game maybe with a perfect lie.
Perfect lie, and
they roll that ball
they're hitting
around
like 50 chips to the same hole.
Yeah,
it's just like,
gotta
here's my
vary it
bucket of
up.
balls, and I'm just gonna hit the same chip every time.
It surprised me. I watch people around the greens when they're chipping on the golf course, and they don't make any practice swings to check the green.
Yeah.
It blows my mind.
Grain's part of the lie.
Like,
that's the most important thing.
I mean, the grain, the firmness is going to change up a lot of your technique and what you can and cannot do.
Like, I think every chip shot's different. Like, literally every single chip shot you have is different. Driver, tee box drivers are arguably the same every time. You're teeing the ball up the same height, or you could vary the height, but it's on a tee. It's a fairly flat surface, and your goal is to hit the fairway. Well, the short game, the lie is always going to be different. The whole location is always going to be different. You're always going to have a different set of green surface between you and the ball. And you just have to be able to do so many different things with the club, depending on the ball, depending on the lie. And I don't know. I find it I could talk about short game for the next hour, but
I could practice short game all day.
Yeah.
Just chipping and putting.
Yeah.
That's the fun stuff, because it's the creativity.
Yeah.
And sometimes the hardest shots are the ones where you could see 2 or 3 different ways to hit it.
100%.
And then you get over it and you're not committed, and then you decel or you thin it because you stood over it. This is a little open face 54 check and run, but you can also see flying the 60 there.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you kind of just it's tough, but it's awesome.
Yeah. Everyone go and practice their short game.
Yes.
You can never not have a good enough short game.
And don't roll the ball to play the lie up. Yeah. Step on it if you need to.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's next for you?
I have US Open local qualifying down in West Palm Beach next week. Playing a cool course, Panther National.
JT's, right?
Justin, I think, had some influence out there. And then I'm actually playing a G Pro event. It's the mini tour. It's in the Southeast. They're all 3-day events, cut after 2 days.
You've had some good G Pros lately, correct?
Yeah. Been
pretty good finishes.
Almost every round under par the last few tournaments. Top 20s or something like that. This one is in near the Outer Banks on the very northeast coast of North Carolina. It's a cool course up there. And then right to the Visit Knoxville Open for the Corn Ferry Tour. That Monday qualifier is May 19th.
Perfect.
So three tournaments in the next 15 days.
Well, you'll be ready.
We will be.
Thank you so much for coming on. Yeah. Everyone go follow Will Dickson as he chases the dream. One of the best guys I know. He's a gem of a human. And don't be afraid to say hello next time you see him out there on the golf course.
Absolutely.
Cheers, buddy. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me on.
You're welcome so much. Episode 2. Thank you, guys.